Hey everybody, Genius Baboon here. We're gonna start with lesson number 2, and we're gonna talk about Lambert's emission law, which is all about lighting. It's gonna help you understand how the light works so that you can shade accordingly, because as I said in the first video, it's very important to understand form, and light serves as a form indicator. Instead of feeling the form with our hands, the light is going to allow us to feel the form with our eyes. Lambert is a mathematician who calculated the intensity of the light based on the angle it is hitting the surface. So when the light is hitting the surface at a 90-degree angle, it's going to have the highest intensity. It's 90 degree, it's going full force into that surface, it's going to have the highest intensity. If we want to talk about the angle of the light versus the intensity, we can end up with a graph like this one. Let's assume that this is our intensity line. The higher we go, the more intense. And this is our angle line. Let's say this is our 90-degree angle, and this is our 0-degree angle. Okay, so what do I have going on here? At a 90-degree angle, let's say this is 100% intensity. The intensity is going to be at 100%, like this. Then every time the angle drops by 10 degrees all the way down to 0, the intensity is gonna drop as well. But here's the thing. If I drop by increments of 10 degrees every time in a progressive linear way, which is just 10 degrees every time, 90, 80, 70, 60, all the way down to 0 degrees, the light is not gonna drop in the same way, where it's gonna be progressively dropping by the same amount of intensity. So at 90 degrees, it's gonna be 100%. At 80, it's gonna drop to 99%. I'm gonna show somewhere here the image that will explain everything with the whole values, and you can find that also in a video that I will put somewhere in the description. I will add more details about this video once I have them. I have watched this video so many times, I just don't remember all of the details, but it's a very good video that was recommended to me by my teacher Zihai Liu, the creative of Ramen Heads, and one of my greatest concept art teachers who have helped me in my learning journey. Career. Okay, at 100% intensity, that's 90 degrees. At 80%, it's gonna drop to 99, and then at 70, it's gonna drop to 97, which means what? It increased by 2%. And then at 60, it's gonna be at 94. And at 50, it's gonna drop to 89. So what is going on here? It's progressively decreasing, but also it's progressively increasing with the bigger and bigger increment each time. Okay, and that is the difference that everybody misses in the beginning. That's the mistake that most beginners do when it comes to light. They tend to think in a progressive way, where they just drop it by a certain percentage. But here's what's actually happening. At a certain point, when we reach the 10 degrees, right below when we reach the 0 degrees, the light is gonna be at around 45% intensity. And then as soon as it reaches 0, it's gonna drop from 45 to 0 instantly, because simply the light will not be able to reach that point. If you imagine this on a sphere, and this sphere is like a planet, let's say, that's being exposed to the light that's coming from this angle, then what ends up happening from this angle right here is that the light that is going from this point, from this source right here, is not gonna pass this line right here, right? Because after this point, the light will simply not reach. So from this point to this point, there will be a certain type of degradation of the light, But once we reach the point where the light will not reach, there is going to be an instant drop to zero, which is why if you see a picture of the planet Earth, you will notice that the day part and the night part are big on the planet, and then the area where it shifts between night and day is very small. It's a small area, and this area is very important to an artist who wants to learn how to draw. This area is called the terminator, like the movie. Yes, and this area is very important to locate if you want to really understand form. And this is something that artists can train themselves to do when doing the third game in my warm-ups that I talked about in my first video, that is called echoing blob. Another way I like to explain this thing about the light is, I feel like light behaves the same way when it comes to lights and shadow, like balance. The light is gonna flicker a little bit as long as it's in contact, but when it's not, then it's gonna completely disappear and you'll be in darkness. When you're maintaining your balance, as long as your center of gravity is between your base, which is between your feet, which are your point of contact with the ground. If you are not standing on your feet, then your base is not between your feet, of course. But if you're standing like me right now, my base is between my feet. My center of gravity is inside my base. If the center of gravity that I have starts leaning towards the edge of my base, it's gonna become a little bit more difficult for me to maintain balance. I can kind of manage, but it will become impossible for me to maintain balance when, let me lean this way so I'm closer to the mic. It's gonna be impossible for me to maintain balance once my center of gravity gets out of my base. Then I'm simply gonna have to fall. Thank God there's a wall here and I don't need to fall. If I'm gonna have to illustrate it from this side, is as soon as I have my center of gravity get out, I have to follow up with my feet, otherwise I'm gonna fall on the ground. So this is very important to understand. That's also how the light and the shadow works. Another cool example that I like to give is, imagine a pebble that is being dropped into a clear pond. The first waves are going to be close and strong, and then they're going to start dissipating and getting further and further away from each other until they vanish. It's kind of the same way when it comes to the light. When it comes to the intensity, in the beginning is strong and close, and then it's gonna vanish, and at some point it's gonna completely disappear, and that's when you reach the darkness. So in terms of balance, the terminator is when I'm focusing on keeping my balance and not falling neither into my base nor outside my base. This is the terminator of balance. In the light, that's when the 0 degree angle of the light is starting to happen, and that's when the light is gonna start not hitting the surface. Like this shadow behind me, the light here is not gonna hit this surface. So as an artist, it's very important to find these areas. And on a surface right now here, for example, the terminator would be, if I stand still, the terminator here would be like this area right here, right before this darkness. That's a terminator, right? And like this area right here is a terminator, right? These are the terminators. These are the zones that needs to be surrounded by terminators in order for them to be shaded later by the artist. Thank you for watching this, and I hope this helps. And I would love to see some of your drawings based on what I said. And what you can also do is you can try to apply everything I said on the third game that I mentioned in the first video. Like I said before, the echoing blob. You can try to shade the blob using a light source that you can put somewhere, and then where the light doesn't reach, you designate this area as a terminator. Where the lights reach, you see where is the 90 degree angle, where is the 80, 70, 60 degree angle, in order to shade it accordingly. Where the 90 degree angle is, you will put the highlights, and all the way maybe to 80 and 70. If you want, you can find this strong lit area depending on the surface and how much you want it to be reflective. Of course, these are other things that you can explore later on as you draw, but for now focus on having a simple surface that you think you can shade comfortably, and do that on an echoing blob and enjoy. And send me any drawing you do of the sort. I would love to see it, and share it on my Discord group, and that I will probably share somewhere here in this video as well. So thank you for watching, and like and subscribe.